Welcome to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Marie, a courage coach, creative soul, and adventure seeker. Since through hiking the Pacific Crest Trail in 2019, I'm on a mission to help you embrace your most confident self so you can achieve your dreams too. If you're eager for deep conversations, big questions, and meaningful connections, join me on the quest to discovering how we can create a more magical and memorable life. Hello, nerds! How are you? I'm so good because you know what? We have reached 1,050 listeners in a week. I'm so happy. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for sharing the podcast with your friends. That just makes me really proud, and I keep picturing all of your faces in one big room with me, and it warms my heart. And on my podcast distribution platform, I can look at the map and see where the people are. So I want to do a special shout out to the people in Cumming, Georgia, or the one person, I don't know, who downloaded a bunch of episodes this week. Hello to you. Also, the person in Birmingham who's downloaded a lot of episodes. So I don't know if it's one person or like many of them, but hello to you in Birmingham. Hello to you in Cumming, Georgia. It's crazy to see there people in a few people in South America, a few people in Africa, a few people in Australia. We're all over. The self-growth nerds are all over. But I see no self-growth nerds in Alaska. So if you have a friend in Alaska, send them the podcast so we can share the good news over there. And I see no downloads in Greenland. Okay, I'm just being silly now. For those of you who are new here, I figured I should introduce myself. My name is Marie. I am in Quebec, Canada. I am a coach for bookworms, nature lovers, artists who feel lost in their life, who feel kind of aimless and want to find their direction, do work that they love, feel like their life is meaningful and like they're making an actual difference. Back in 2019, I accomplished my biggest dream, which was to through hike the Pacific Crest Trail. And that is a trail that goes all the way from the border of Mexico to the border of Canada in the United States. It crosses the whole country on foot in the mountains. And let me tell you what, I was never an athlete. Okay, I was the girl who got the ball in the face in gym class. I was the girl who was always picked last when we were making teams, like sports teams. And yet I went ahead and through hike across a whole country. When I got back, my worldview had changed. How I saw myself had changed, and there was no way I was going to go back into my job as a graphic designer. I had to for a little while because my bank account was almost empty, but that was the kick in the butt I needed to really go on a quest to making a change. Because I felt that the work I was doing as a graphic designer was kind of inconsequential, like an ad for a back to school makeup kit or for Christmas shopping. Like I remember those two specifically thinking like, really? This is not what I feel I was put on this earth to do. So, I would go into the toilet and then scroll my phone and then get jealous of the people who seemed to have lives who were more aligned with my values. But, making a change is hard. You don't know where to start. I was overwhelmed at what can I do? I don't want to go back to school again. I've already done 2 degrees. The question, though, that helped me get started was, what's it going to be like in my life in 10 years if I just keep doing what I'm doing now? And the feeling I got was so heavy. Like, oh my God, I wasted my life. So that motivated me. It's not the carrot that motivated me, it's the stick. So if you're like me, ask yourself that question, see what comes up. And so that's when I started going on a quest, started making one little change after the other. And now in 2023, just starting 2023, so we're like 3.5 years later, I have a completely different life. I'm a coach. I have my own business. I'm doing what I love. I see the difference that I help make in my clients' lives every day. This is so fulfilling. Plus, I get to play around with my schedule. If I want to go on a long walk today, I can. If I want to plan a trip in a few weeks, I can. And I make good money doing so. And some of you might be thinking, oh, but that's easy for you to say. You have your own business, you're your own boss, while I work for someone else. And I want to reassure you, I've worked with many clients who don't have businesses and help them find more purpose, either in their work or personal projects outside of work, like writing a book, for example, or starting a side hustle. I also help them create more flexibility in their schedule by advocating for their needs. Like, for example, I've helped a client ask for a 4-day work week instead of 5 days. And I've also helped clients make more money. Again, even if you don't necessarily have a business, showing up more confidently in your work, finding ways to make more money outside of work. Like, for example, in 2021, I made $38,000 of passive income by selling a product online with a friend of mine. We put our skills together and created this insane value. So just imagine what your life could be like if you could find more purpose in your day-to-day life, either through your professional life or through your personal projects. And if you had a more flexible schedule that gives you time for you, a schedule that's aligned with how you function at your best. And if you made more money, like what would be possible for you if you made an extra $38,000? All of these things are possible for you as well. I did it. I help clients do it, and it's possible for you too. Just imagine and tell yourself, maybe that's possible for me too. Okay? Not asking you to believe me 100%, but just give me the benefit of the doubt. And if you want to learn more, I'm starting a video series today in which I'm going to walk you through the steps I've been on, my own journey from coming back with post-trail depression, coming back from the PCT with post-trail depression and almost an empty bank account, going back into a job that I didn't really like, that felt kind of pointless, to today, doing work that I love, making good money doing so, and having complete control over my schedule. I'll walk you through the process and give you the steps that you can apply in your own life as well. So just go to selfgrowthnerds.com, and on the homepage, you'll be able to sign up, give me your name and your email, and you'll start receiving the video. Even if you're listening to this later, it's still going to be on the homepage. So go there, sign up, and you'll be able to watch the videos and learn more about how I did this and how you can do it too. All right, so today we are talking about time management and how to get out of a place where you feel like you're a slave to your schedule. You know, the feeling when you're being pulled in all kinds of directions, like you wake up in the morning and there's already so many things on your to-do list, but people keep making requests, like the demands keep piling up. A new email here and another email there. Someone calls you. Can you do this one little thing for me? Can you do that? Oh, can you fix the typo there? And then suddenly like somebody rings your doorbell. It's like the delivery man, and you just want to punch them in the face for disturbing you because you're just trying to get some work done for like an hour straight without distraction, and you can't even get an hour without someone asking something out of you, even if it's just like a signature for the delivery you were waiting for. I'm right now waiting for skincare products from Glossier, and it's taking a while. So that's at the forefront of my mind. I cannot wait. Or you know those days where like you can't even get out of bed because you think, oh my God, I have so much going on. I don't have the time. And notice how interesting it is that when you tell yourself, oh my God, I have so much going on, it often leads you to feeling so overwhelmed that you don't do anything. So you think you don't have time for all of these things, but thinking that you don't have time leads you to wasting time, not doing anything, just swimming in a pool of overwhelm. So funny how our brains work. Okay, so raise your hand if you've been in that situation, or if you are in that situation every day, if you recognize yourself in this description. So if this happens to you, you have slipped into being the victim of your schedule. And that's okay. We don't need to blame, but you do need to take responsibility, because it's not useful to put the fault on anyone else. So let's have a look at what you can control, okay? So that you no longer feel like you're being driven by your schedule and by everyone around you and their expectations of you. The good news here is that I have a solution for you, 4 steps to taking the control back over your schedule, over your time, okay? Because your time, my friends, is your most precious resource. It's much more precious than money, in my opinion. So step 1 to taking the control back is to realize that when you tell yourself, I have too much on my plate, it's not useful. It's also not a fact. Let's say we put Obama in your shoes. What would they say about your to-do list? They might say, I can totally get this done. Or let's say we put a mom of 4 kids in your shoes. She might go, oh, easy peasy. I'll figure it out. And I'm not telling you this in the sense that these people are better than you. What I'm saying is that you would put a different brain in your circumstance, a different person in your circumstance, and they might have a different outlook on the number of tasks you have to do in the amount of time. And I'm also not telling you that to diminish what you're going through. I am telling you that so that you can take your power back. When you realize that the sentence, I have too much on my plate, is a belief rather than a fact, it gives you some wiggle room, some space to play around and breathe. Step 2 is getting rid of the have-tos in your mind. I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, I have to do that. There's nothing, literally nothing that you have to do. You don't even have to take care of your kids, okay? And this sounds radical, but bear with me. There's nothing that you have to do. If you don't take care of your kids, yes, something bad might happen. Yes, you might go to jail, but it's not a have to. Because what happens when you tell yourself, I have to, is that you're being a dictator to yourself. You are putting yourself in the position of a slave. And again, that takes all of your power away. So you don't have to take care of your kids. You choose to take care of your kids. You don't have to go to work. You choose to go to work. And if one of you feels resistant, like, but Marie, that's not true. Like, I have to go to work. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my job and I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. You still choose to go to work because you care about getting the paycheck that allows you to pay your bills. Just this shift in thinking, telling yourself that you choose to do everything that you do, opens up the possibility of a different choice. If you realize that everything you do in a given day is something that you choose to do, it shows you that you can choose otherwise. If you keep telling yourself that you have to, you're blocking the possibility of other choices from your view. That was step 2. Step 3, you gotta zoom out and look at your schedule from the outside. Look at all of your to-dos and your tasks from above. As if you are a robot or like an AI, we keep hearing about AI these days, looking at a number of tasks on the floor, and they have to insert those tasks in like a puzzle that represents your calendar, or the number of hours you have in a given day. So the robot would think 11 tasks, 16 hours of awake time, and just take the tasks and place them in a slot in the calendar. This ability to be neutral and specific gives you power, because vague terms like too much on my plate, I have too much going on, are overwhelming, and overwhelm is paralyzing. So we're going to do like the robot. I want to know how many things are on your plate instead of too much. Replace too much by an actual number. So make a list of what you have to do and start with the 5 most important at the top. What are your top 5 priorities? And it helps to write down why they're your priorities. So maybe they don't necessarily bring you joy in the moment, but they're important to you because they're going to serve you in the future. So your top 5 priorities, and then write the other things you have to do after that. See if you can categorize them. For example, I put all of my admin tasks together in like a cluster of admin tasks. You know, those little things that take like 3 to 5 minutes and you can do them at your computer? Put them in a cluster together. Your out of the house tasks that you can do when you're going to run errands. See what the categories are, the kind of tasks that use the same area of your brain. And then next to each category or each task, write down the amount of time you need. Like take a guess, your best guess. Write down the amount of time you need for each of them. And then you place them in your calendar, in your week. Instead of being the victim of your to-do list, you take control. You sit in the control room and you make decisions. Make sure your appointments are in there. Make sure you have time to, have lunch, have dinner, have time to walk over to the place, add these things. And then with the time you have available, you're going to have a very specific number of hours in each day. Okay, that day I have 3 hours available. What can I place? Which task or tasks can I place in this 3-hour block? You have your list with times next to them. So it is just a puzzle. It's a neutral puzzle that an AI could do. And every time I do this, I realize, it's not that bad. And this is actually doable. And you might realize, actually, this is quote unquote too much. Like the robot would literally give you an error message. Impossible to place 24 hours of work in 10-hour day. Impossible. Beep, beep. And then you'll have to take action accordingly. But I've found that most of the time it's not the case. Okay, so it's just maths. Our brain are funny. They love to turn math into drama. So you have to bring yourself back to a place of neutrality where you just look at numbers. I remember this moment with a client of mine when she was seeing the workload coming in a season at her workplace, like a busy season at her workplace. And she was telling me, I can't do this, this is too much. And so we looked at the number of hours that this work would require versus the number of hours that she wanted to give to that work, and it just didn't work. It didn't compute. If she was going to get that work done, that it would bleed into her personal time. So she could do the work. She had done the work before, but looking at those numbers with a clear, calm mind allowed her to see, actually, it's not that I cannot do it. I can, but I don't want to. This is the number of hours I'm willing to give to that work, and it just doesn't fit in. So that does not work for me. From there, she was able to make an empowered decision versus if she just kept telling herself, I can't do this, this is too much, this is too much, this is too much. She would have stayed in overwhelm and exhausted herself. Okay, so that was step 3. Step 4, the last one. I want you to get curious about your perfectionism and people-pleasing tendencies. I don't want you to fix them. I just want you to observe, okay? Notice the moments where you take like 2 hours to write an email and you're editing every little words. What's your body feeling like when you're doing that? That is your sign. Like when you feel this way in your body, you've entered perfectionism and people pleasing. Notice the moments where you're maybe staying longer that you need to in a meeting or in a call with someone because you don't want to be rude, because you don't want to seem unprofessional, because you don't want to be too direct. When you do this, you're unconsciously trying to get your personal worth from what other people think of you. This email has to be perfect, otherwise they're going to think I'm sloppy. If they think I'm professional, then I will feel good about myself. That is the underlying unconscious belief. You know those moments where you're not too sure how to hang up the phone, so you might ask like extra questions that you don't really need to ask, like, oh, by the way, how are your kids? Just because you want the other person to think that you're nice. Again, the unconscious belief there is, okay, if they think that I'm nice, if they hang up the phone and they think, oh, she's nice, she spent a lot of time with me, then I'm going to feel good about myself. You're tying your worth to what other people think about you, and that is the best way to drain yourself, to make yourself feel like a slave, to try to manipulate everything that you do so that everyone around you has good thoughts about you in their mind. You gotta be willing to send an imperfect email. You gotta be willing to hang up the phone and let people think whatever they're going to think. They might think, oh, I'm glad this call was short. They're so professional. Or they might think, oh, that was rude. And they didn't ask me about my kids. You gotta be willing to let them be wrong about you and think whatever they want to think based on the mood that they're in that day. You gotta be willing to risk disappointing the people that give too much. You know, people that do a bunch of extra work that they're not paid to do just because they want to be liked. They're going to be angry when you don't, when you set boundaries. They're going to judge you because they wouldn't allow themselves to do that. So you got to be willing for them to judge you and give you weird looks. For example, I received a call a few years ago. Someone was asking me to do this little thing for a contract that I'd already been paid for, write a little text. I think it was like a bio about me or something like that. I'd already been paid and I'd completed my tasks for that contract, and that was an extra one. And so instead of saying, sure, I'll do it, that'll only take me 15 minutes, I paused and I asked the person, what's your budget? So before would have thought, oh no, they're going to think I'm being greedy. I want them to think I'm nice. I'm just going to do it for free. It's going to be easier for them and they're going to think I'm nice. But now that I see my time as sacred, and that's also how you need to see your time if you don't want to be a slave to it. Now that I see my time as sacred and I treat it as such, I don't care if people think I'm not being nice. My time has value. I have been paid. This is an extra task. I understand that you need this, and I'm going to be happy to help you. And what's your budget? This is uncomfortable at first, but the more willing you are to be uncomfortable, the more free you are going to be. I remember also working with a super successful person in Manhattan and for an illustration contract, and their emails were so short. I was not used to it. They were like 4 words long. If they needed like me to edit something in the illustration, it was just a question. No hello, no thank you. And at first I was like, oh my God. But at the same time envious, like looking up to them. It's amazing that they allow themselves to be so direct. They don't waste time with little niceties. And like, I don't know what it's like for you with your siblings, but when I'm on the phone with my sister, when we want to hang up, we just say, okay, let's just hang up. Okay, I need to poop. Okay, I need to do this other thing. Let's just hang up. And there's no, again, like, oh, who's going to hang up first? And I don't want to seem direct. We are simply straightforward. Straightforwardness without mind drama is going to save you so much trouble. Yes, it's uncomfortable at first. Eventually you get used to it, people get used to it, and you start attracting people to you and clients to you and colleagues to you that are in alignment with this way of being. That way of being is not people pleasing, it's honesty. Honest relationships, okay? And you can have honest relationships while also being considerate. like while also saying please and thank you, while also treating others like humans. But it's very different from people pleasing. People pleasing is dishonest. People pleasers are liars, okay? And I put myself in that bunch. I people please too. Less than I used to. A lot less than I used to, and I notice it when I do it. You're being fake. You're being what you think other people need you to be instead of advocating for your desires and your needs in an honest, vulnerable, transparent way. So that's it for today. The 4 steps. The first one is to realize that when you have thoughts in your mind, like I have too much going on or I have too much on my plate, they're just sentences in your brain and they're not fact. Step 2 is getting rid of the have-tos and taking your power back by saying you choose to or you want to and knowing your reasons. This is going to allow you to make different choices if it comes to it. If you decide that you want something else, it opens up the possibilities. Step 3 was looking at your tasks and your schedule like a robot with numbers. Put numbers, replace too much with a number. How many tasks do you have to do and how many hours do you have? It's math. It's not drama. And lastly, step 4, get curious and observe when you're falling into perfectionism and people pleasing. What does it feel like in your body? And just make a list of all the moments in a day where you do something that goes against what you want or need just so that other people can be pleased with you, so that you and that makes you feel good. You can learn to feel good without depending on other people being pleased with you. That is what I teach my clients. Okay. If you want to learn more about how I got here to a place where I feel confident enough in me to advocate for what I want without feeling like I have to be a slave to everyone's expectations, sign up for the video series that started today. I'm going to walk you through the process that I've been on and what's helped make the most difference for me. I'm going to also tell you more about how I manage my time, how I manage my money. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of the steps I took to get here. So go to selfgrowthnerds.com and on the homepage there, add your name, your email address, and you'll receive the first video. All right? Have a beautiful week, my friends. Bye. You just listened to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. Make sure to subscribe and to find me on Instagram at Self-Growth Nerds. If you want individual help developing the confidence to create a more meaningful and exciting life, visit selfgrowthnerds.com today to learn how. Finally, I want to thank my friend Etienne Galano for editing this, and I want to thank you, kind-hearted souls, for growing into your truest, most courageous selves every day and making this world a better, more beautiful place. My name is Marie, and I will talk to you next week.